Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Recap, a guy's review. It's Tuesday morning, which means we have Women Tell All recap. Tonight is the Fantasy Suites, which means tomorrow morning we'll have the Fantasy Suites recap. It's never-ending, although next week it will end. But how does it end? Nobody knows. Stay tuned, reality. Steve's going to have some spoilers. I'm going to be dropping that video later this morning. Tons to get to, and we're going to start now. I recap the show. I take notes, I make no edits, and I read them back to you guys. And that's what we do. I'm Dave Neal. Follow me on Instagram right there at DNeals. Some people say, "Oh, Dave, your voice sounds bad. Are you getting sick?" No, I'm not sleeping well. Okay, that's the problem. So let's get into it. Women Tell All. We start with some softball questions from Jesse. He goes, "How do y'all feel meeting Clayton on night one?" And they're all like, "We feel fine," but everyone at home's like, "Get to the Shanae roast." We see clips of night one where Claire says she hates Clayton. Claire's here on the top left here. She says she hates Clayton and would eat him alive. Obviously, we remember this is because she was soft rejected and got too drunk. That's what happened there. Hey, weird things happen when people get drunk and have to compete for love. We see the Cassidy villain edit, right? Let's go to Cassidy where she's over here somewhere. There she is. There's Cassidy, top middle. And she gets the villain edit, which is hilarious in hindsight because it was the softest villain ever compared to what is to come. It's like when you have a bad hurricane and you're like, that hurricane was horrible. And then like 2 weeks later, there's a big one. And you're like, all right, that was actually just a little breeze. So, she was the watered down version of what's to come. Now the gloves come off. Someone asked Shanae if she was locked in a closet as a kid, which I'm already seeing people online saying, "Why are you going to make fun of child abuse?" And I'm like, well, it's a valid question. Maybe she was locked in a closet as a kid. You don't know. Shanae tells everyone they are fake. And then Marlena says, "Call me a bitch to my face." And then we have a Royal Rumble breaking out. So clearly they're ready to go. It was kind of like before a bull race. What's it called when the bull ride? Where right before bull running, they cattle prod everybody. They cattle prod the bull, and then they open the gates, and then everyone just runs out. Wow. That's kind of what it was because they were probably not told not to talk to each other. They're all in their best behavior. They're sitting like church girls, do whatever, ready, asking daddy for money. "Daddy, can I have money to buy the thing?" And then he says no, and they're like, "Oh, then Shanae's this," and then they go off on Shanae. Jesse is just smoking a cigarette in the back as they're all yelling. He's like, "I don't know what to do. I don't know how to, fight this." So let's go to Shanae right here. There she is. He says, "We're going to get here. We're going to be here for a while." That's what Jesse says. And then the ladies, they come out of the gates. Jesse tells Claire, let's go back to Claire. Jesse tells Claire that out of the hundreds of women, she's the first to ever be like, "Nope, not for me." She says she was bored, so she found herself the bar. Hey, which is what you do. You get bored, you find yourself the bar, you have a few too many drinks, and then you regret something. Just sucks for Claire that it happened on national TV. She doesn't seem to care. Cassidy says she's a forward person, assertive, and then Kira, the doctor, right next to her, calls her out, says she was being disrespectful. Cassidy says she was just trying to stand out in the crowd, which is a good line, So Cassidy's like, "Look, there's a lot of beautiful women out here. I'm just trying to do me, stand out, get attention," and clearly it worked. So anyway, you guys know, if you've watched my channel before, I've done these for about 7 years. I hate the recap of this episode because it's a hot dumpster fire. There's no story arc to recap. So if that's why I don't look too enthused to do this, it's because it's dumpy. But we got more content coming later on today that'll be a little bit more interesting, I believe. So Marlena calls Cassidy abrasive. Yeah, fair enough. Cassidy says she likes to kiss a guy first, see how it works out. Kira said, "How has that worked out for you, Cassidy?" Which, I think is actually kind of rude because I think that's a funny line by Cassidy. And I think that's pretty fair that, in the dating scene, a lot of times you meet someone at a bar, you make out, whatever, you see if there's any physical chemistry. I don't think it's any better or worse to go on a date and get to know someone before you kiss them. I think it's progressive the way she's thinking. And if it works for somebody, it works for them. So for Kira to be like, "How does it work for you?" It's like, newsflash, Kira, how's it working for any of you guys? You're all in the same boat. You've all, for one reason or another, went on a dating show and all got rejected. So chill out. No one's better than anybody. Cassidy says she didn't have a negative word to say about anyone in those interviews. And some people said, oh, Cassidy, but you called us all bitches and hoes. And she's like, yeah, but I didn't say that specifically about anybody. I was just saying, the bitches and hoes. It was like a general comment, which you have to agree. Cassidy never really went after one specific person for any of their character. Cassidy discusses her friends with benefits from the show. Cassidy tells Sierra she's got a guy at home if it doesn't work out. So we saw how that played out on the actual episode where she kind of was behind the scenes talking, and Sierra said that she, said certain things that she denied. Chances are she said them and they just didn't make the edit. We don't know for sure. Cassidy says the root of the problem is that she had casual sex before going on the show. Others argue it is that she had him on hold and was going to go back to him. Cassidy says if she fell for Clayton, she would have just called the friends with benefit. Hey, I'm done. No, don't need you anymore. Which, that's pretty progressive, but that's usually how it works. I can't tell you how many times I've been somebody's like casual thing, and then they're like, actually, I'm dating someone now. I'm like, all right, okay, cool. Well, I guess our relation, our situation is no longer applicable. So a lot of people have stuck up for Cassidy and said, hey, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? It's kind of archaic, the style of dating the show is. So to have this conversation, not the end of the world. Kate says she doesn't think it was unforgivable to have a guy on the side. Where's Kate? Here's Kate where is Kate? There she is. Here's Kate from the Selling Sunset. She says it's not unforgivable to have a guy on the side, but that Cassidy coached Shanae and made her a bitch, which might have been true. Who knows? They had a little bit of a friendship going on early. Kate says she liked Shanae, but because Shanae took over a group date, she saw a sinister, diabolical bitch. Yikes. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. Lindsay said, from the bottom of my heart, F you, Shanae, and here's Lindsay. And then actually, you could see Shanae like smirking because Shanae was shocked that Lindsay went for Shanae because it looked like Shanae was surprised because maybe they had a friendship. To me, Lindsay's proven that she's going to say and do what she needs to do to stand out from the crowd. So I don't necessarily trust Lindsay's opinion because, she called out Clayton and was like, you know what you did. And she kind of like called him out on TikTok. And it's like, come on, can't you give the guy a little bit of a benefit of the doubt? This whole recap, I'm just going to be saying we need to give Clayton more of a benefit of the doubt. Or there's more yet to come. We don't know. Anyway, Genevieve stands up. We had Genevieve stand up. There she is in blue. Genevieve stands up like she's hailing a cab, and she knew she would look good in her dress. She's like, I'm going to stand up and make a point because I look great in this dress, and she did not disappoint. Shanae joins Jesse on the hot seat. Let's go to Shanae on the hot seat. There she is. The girls heckle her. They go fake cry, and someone makes fun of her butt. Genevieve says she looks like she has a diaper in her pants. She says it's not because she was body shaming her, but she had a weird fabric on. Either way, it was a pretty low blow to make fun of someone's appearance on the show. Jesse asks Shanae, what made you want to come on The Bachelor? She said she's been single for 5 years, confidence in herself, loving herself, no drama at the beginning. It all changed on day 2. Shanae calls Elizabeth fake, says she ignored her. Marlena says Shanae is a hypocrite, gaslighting biatch. It goes back and forth, guys. You watched it, right? So if you know and watched my live stream yesterday, I didn't defend Shanae one iota, but I tried to look into what could have pissed her off so much to dig in and become enemy number 1. And we don't know the answer to that. But what we do know is that it's a pretty hostile bunch. Genevieve says, that's why you've been single for 5 years. You're delusional. And that could be the case. But again, they're all single up there. So maybe they're all delusional. That's my stance. You think she's the villain? Maybe you're all the villains. First of all, this might sound kind of deep. We're all villains in somebody's story. We might not remember it, but somebody hates us. We are the villain number 1 in somebody's story. All right, so Genevieve then joins Shanae on the hot seat. Shanae mentioned she heard Genevieve wanted to go home. Genevieve says she was sobbing, anxious, and stressed out. So Genevieve admits to saying she wanted to go home, but it wasn't because she didn't like Clayton so much as she was sobbing, anxious, and stressed out. Shanae says when she was broken up with, she grieved, lost weight, etc. But says when Genevieve went home, she pumped Palmer's with Aaron Clancy. Aaron Clancy, of course, denies this. Genevieve says, we met once at a bar. So Shanae took a liberty to assume that they were hooking up when they weren't, which, of course, it's kind of like a strikeout on a diss. If you're gonna diss somebody, at least be accurate. And and also, if you get dumped, it's okay to hook up with someone the next day. That's okay too. There's no rules saying you can't do this. It doesn't mean you didn't love somebody. Sometimes you just got to get the blood flowing to get over somebody. I think that's how you grieve in some cases. Let me know what you think. Is that okay to grieve? Is it okay to get dumped and then hook up with someone the next day as a grieving tool. Hey, maybe you shouldn't be jumping into relationships and rebounding, but get out there and prove your worth. I don't know. Genevieve says she met him at a bar and nothing happened. Yikes. Lindsay says Shanae makes it miserable for everyone, and she has a point. Cassidy tells Shanae, you have so much time and platform to apologize, and you're squandering it. Yeah, there was so much time given to Shanae on this episode that it could have been used much better, but at the same time, the women were literally yelling at her, 10 at a time the whole entire time. It was really not productive to watch and not good TV. I'm glad Shanae didn't apologize if she didn't mean it. Okay, so this is where I'm kind of like, look, if she didn't feel sorry for what she did, I'm glad she didn't apologize, because what would have the point been to apologize under pressure? In a hostage situation, you can't believe what someone has to say. So an apology with a gun to your head means nothing to me. There was so much cross-talking, I barely caught half the disses. I think Shanae slammed Hunter for heavily using filtered photos. Sarah's turn on the hot seat. Let's go to Sarah. Here's Sarah on the hot seat. This is where it got interesting. We finally got rid of Shanae. Like, that's okay. We'll never resolve it. She'll never apologize. They didn't address the ADHD. They probably didn't want to dive into that topic because they don't have an expert to discuss it. Sarah was a nice palate cleanser after all the talking over each other. Some nice silent moments with Sarah. She was kind of like catching her words, and there was moments where you couldn't hear like 15 people yelling, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of peaceful for a second to not hear. All right, Kira says that Sarah used her winning as a weapon to make the other women feel insecure. So Sarah's accused of talking to all the women, pillow talk, late night, off-camera convos, to make it sound like her relationship was more strong, in hoping that other women would feel defeated and not compete for Clayton. Serena, the nicest of the group, agrees that Sarah was giving details. Oh, I'm sorry, Serene, the nicest of the group, here's Serene, was also confirmed. And she's got the most trustworthiness of everyone there, because she hasn't had any problem with anyone. She's been kind, but she agrees that she thinks Sarah was giving details to the other women. The question becomes, did Sarah do it with malicious intent? Sarah says Clayton did actually cry on their date, so now we need to see what Clayton says about it. Question becomes, how much volume of tears? Did it well up in the eye? Did it drip? Was it a small pool of tears? What are we working with? We need to know the tear volume. Teddy takes the hot seat. Let's go to Teddy. Teddy doesn't have much to say. She gets emotional, seeing her package. Teddy wonders if Clayton would be his first. She says society puts a lot of pressure on women to lose their virginity, and she doesn't feel that pressure. Good for her. Jesse says the first impression rose is a gift, but can be a curse. She said she felt the pressure and mentions that Clayton's brother slid into her DMs. More on that in the next video. I'm not going to cover that here. She said one Eckhart boy is in a lifetime is enough for me. Serene joins the hot seat. Let's jump to Serene. She might be the most respected lady of the season. She told Clayton she loved him, then she didn't get a rose. She says she doesn't feel enough. Clayton arrives. All right, let's go to Clayton. There he is. Clayton arrives, says the hardest part has been watching it back, analyzing it all. He sees he was far from perfect. Marlena asked Clayton why he chose to believe Shanae over all the others. He says he hadn't built that trust yet, wanted tangible evidence. And my thought is, look at Thomas, right? Everyone ganged up on Thomas during Katie's season. He's now with Becca and he's a happy guy. You can't trust everyone. That's like a bunch of car salesmen saying, buy my car, don't buy the other guy's car. And then you buy someone's car and everyone goes, oh, you bought from the wrong guy. Because what do I know? You're all trying to sell your cars. Cars in this instance being love. Clayton tells Shanae that she manipulated him. Shanae tells Clayton she was open and honest with him. Everyone laughs. Clayton sees the women all yell back. He says, I trusted you and I believed you, and it's the worst thing I could have done. And I honestly feel like Clayton might not be responding in the most sincere way because of all the backlash he received. Maybe they did have a better connection than he's letting on. Maybe. Or maybe he just didn't believe anyone because he didn't have that tangible evidence he was looking for. And you can blame production for that. Jesse asked Clayton why he decided to listen to the women who came to him about Sarah after not listening about Shanae. He says he trusted that they all had the same story. Clayton says he felt she was playing the game to her benefit to eliminate the competition. And of course, Clayton trusts the final three way more than he trusted, the Marlenas and other people that he didn't have a deep connection with. Sarah responds and says that it felt to her that Clayton was disingenuous. I'm not disingenuous, you're disingenuous. Right? Clayton's like, I thought you were disingenuous. She was like, I thought you were disingenuous. It's like, okay, Sarah, calm down. You're not coming off well here. Sarah says she wishes he would have respected her in their goodbye. Clayton says, real men cry. I cry. Clayton was questioning why Sarah would tell the other women he cried if he didn't. So Clayton is proving Sarah to be lying. Sarah says this feels ridiculous, crying or not. I don't understand how it's applicable anymore. And it's like, Sarah, it's applicable because you said he cried. as a way to tell other women that he was opening up to you. If he didn't cry, that means you lied to them. Clayton says he didn't cry. How bizarre. How bizarre. Kira says she found herself more and more attracted to Clayton every episode. She says, I don't know if you're engaged, but if you're single, I'm single. Kira shoots her shot. Good for her. Clayton tells Jesse he was the perfect person to be there to navigate it with him. Clayton says, let's roll the tapes of when Jesse was Bachelor. And then they show video of each other, having bloopers. All right, folks, we got to the end of it. I have more content coming your way. Now that we've cleansed the palate here and discussed the women tell-all, let me know what you thought. Was it a hot dumpster fire? Was there anything redeemable? Is there any way to stick up for Shanae whatsoever, or is she despicable? Or did these women, some of them, stoop down to her level? Let me know what you guys think. I'll have more content coming to you in just a minute. Bye, everybody.